Hello, children. We're going to look at some images today that we're going to be working on in our work on refugees for our book, The Journey. So these images are sent by a charity called Action Aid, and they help refugees around the world. So we're going to have a look at these images. It's a bit difficult because I'd love to hear your responses. So what I'd like you to do is just have a really good think. There are going to be moments to pause and reflect. You can make notes and you can think about what's going on in the picture. So what can you see here? My eyes drawn immediately to the children in this picture. Can you see? There's a little boy or girl there and here, and in the background, tiny children. So I wonder what it is. Let's have a look. Oh, hang on, let's try that again. So this is a picture of people getting off a dinghy that has landed at a beach in Lesvos, Greece. So in class this week, when I was with the children in school, we were talking about the image in The Journey of the boat on top of the water as they're going on their treacherous trip across the sea. And we talked about how that happens in real life. So around the world, the people are trying to escape and flee from danger and trying to find refuge. And they're making the most perilous, dangerous journeys. Look at this dinghy here. Look at the size of it. This should only fit maybe 5 or 6 people at the most. How many people are in this, do you think? Do they all have life jackets on? Even if they have all got life jackets on, is it safe? How would you feel about crossing a huge sea in a boat like this? How would you be feeling? Very, very sad to know that some people don't make it across the water when they're trying to escape. They don't find refuge because these boats are made of plastic. Look, you can just imagine what a storm or some danger at sea could do to this boat. A question that was asked in class the other day was, well, why would you go on a boat like this if it's so dangerous? Why would you even think about making that journey? And what a great question to think about. How desperate are these people to find refuge if they're willing to take their babies and children on such a dangerous journey? And the danger is basically you could die on the boat. So what they're trying to flee from is obviously a lot more dangerous than the journey on the boat. And we're going to be thinking about those feelings of what these people are feeling later on this week when we're going to be writing about the journey at sea. So let's look at the next one. Here, click on me. What can we see? Water, bananas, maybe some biscuits in the box. Let's have a look. So this is some of the Action Aid team in Lesvos in Greece. So these people work for a charity. And you can see that they're trying to help people at the other side when they've made it across the water. They've got blankets, they've got water, they've got bananas. What can we see here? Looks like an old lady in a wheelchair, maybe somebody's grandma, maybe somebody's auntie, somebody's mum. So this is Hamid, an Action Aid worker. He's helping an Afghan family with a disabled woman in a Moria refugee camp in Lesvos in Greece. And what's really interesting about this picture, if you see here, look at the barbed wire. It's a refugee camp. We're going to be looking at what refugee camps are later in the week as well. Mrs. Taylor's son volunteered at a place in Calais called The Jungle. And hopefully we can get some of his experience of what it was like in a refugee camp. So they find safety in a camp, but they can't go any further. They're not granted access to the next country or where they're trying to get to, but at least they're getting some help. But as you can imagine, if the place that Mrs. Taylor's son worked was nicknamed The Jungle, it doesn't conjure up very safe images, does it? But we'll learn about that later in the week. And what have we got here? Sorry, let's go back a page. Let's have a look back here. Sorry, children. Here we've got another Action Aid worker, Ditta, she's called, in the women's space in Kara refugee camp in Lesbos. So there's a place there that look like they're getting some help, which is great to see, isn't it? So this is an interesting picture. Look at this one. Iraqi children in Kara Tepe refugee camp, Lesbos in Greece. And I think this is a really, really interesting picture because I think some of the children in this picture are probably the same age as you, or the same age as your little brothers and sisters. They're dressed as you would dress. Trainers, jeans, t-shirts. They look well kept, don't they? I think this gives us a really good idea that it's not that stereotypical idea that some people think that it's only poor people that are trying to find refuge. We're going to be looking at some more stories in the week of different people that are trying to escape and why they're escaping and where they're escaping to. But I thought this was a really good picture to think about children who are your age now, who are in these situations. Here we can see they're lying straight on the grass in sleeping bags. So the boy on the right of the front row in this picture, this boy here with the striped t-shirt on, is called Hamam. He's 10 years old and from Iraq, so he is the same age as you. He has an incredible story to tell about how he, I don't know what it says under there. I think it's how he got to Lesbos. Let's read it. So I'm going to see if I can find the story here. And I'm going to read it to you, and I'm also going to put it onto Shobi for you. So Hamam's story. Hamam is 10 years old and is from Iraq. His hometown has been severely damaged by war. This war has lasted several years, and it's no longer safe for the people who live there, especially for children. Hamam's family, including his 1-year-old baby sister, managed to escape Iraq, but they then had to face a long, hazardous boat voyage. Hamam says, "I was really scared going into the boat. It was our first time ever going onto the sea. The boat was filling up with water." Worried and afraid, cold and tired, Hamam's mother offered to take them back home. They were faced with a choice to either return to a country at war or to take this perilous boat journey. Hamam remained brave. Neither the sea nor his fear could change his mind. My mum tried to comfort me. She said, "Don't be scared. We will go back." But I said, "No, Mum, I don't want us to go back." Hamam and his family made it across safely and are now staying in Kara Tepe refugee camp on the Greek island of Lesbos. Hamam's mother, Hannah, spoke about how relieved she is to see her son enjoying life again. In Iraq, even when the children play, they play at war because their childhood is filled with nothing but war, she says. Happily, Hamam and his family are now safe. He is enjoying playing with other children his age and is ready to start a new life with his family. So I think that has really good links with the journey, don't you? It's a child probably of a similar age who's had to make this perilous journey across, and they've found safety, they've found refuge. So it's a good ending to the story. So I'm going to put this on Shobi. This is a little comprehension exercise today to see how much you understand. So what do we know about Hamam's story? Who are the people and characters in it? What is the setting? What are the problems that they faced? And what is the resolution? And the 3 main events that happen in the story. So I want you to start thinking about if we were going to be writing from the point of view of a child. Maybe it's Hamam. Maybe it's the child in the journey. Maybe Hamam is the child in the journey. That's quite an interesting thought. So it's a comprehension exercise, making sure that we understand what's happened in his story, but it's also starting to plan our next piece of writing. And we're going to be looking very closely at another image from the journey tomorrow. And we're going to start thinking about how you would be feeling if you were on one of these boats trying to take you to safety. So I'll put all of this on Shobi now. I'm expecting you to you can either print this page out here, or you don't need to print it at all. You can just write on a piece of paper. You don't even have to set it out like this in boxes. You could have a subtitle of people and characters, the setting, the 3 main events, the problems and the resolution. The resolution means how the problem was solved at the end. I want you to really think about description that you could use. So don't just put on a boat in a refugee camp. I want you to think for the setting of how you could be describing the setting. How would you be feeling? What can you see? What can you hear? All these people squashed into the boat. And I want you to think about the problems that you might face on the water. And luckily, the happy ending that Hamam had at the end and the resolution, where did he end up? And who is at the centre with him? Who's at the refugee camp with him? So I hope you enjoy your work today. It's a very mature piece of work that we're doing. It's about real life. And I really hope that you're enjoying learning, not just about your writing skills and developing those, but also started to learn about the wider world and what is going on at this moment all around us. Okay, children, I'll speak to you later.